Welcome back to our series about addressing ethical dilemmas using the Clemson University STAR decision-making model. In this video, we'll discuss the final two steps of the STAR model: act and reflect. To recap our steps so far, when we find ourselves in an ethical dilemma where there doesn't seem to be an obvious right or wrong outcome, we can use the STAR model to help us decide what to do. First, we can stop. Recognize the ethical dilemma, identify our stakeholders, and create at least 3 possible solutions. Then we can test our solutions. For each of our 3 possible solutions, we would use at least 3 ethical tests, but preferably all 6, to identify the most ethical possible outcome. Now, the ethical tests include the harm test, the legality test, the precedent test, the respect test, the golden rule test, and the peer or colleague test. Now it's time for the third step of the STAR model: act. For this step, we can use the ethical tests as a lens to gain insight into a dilemma, then decide which solution we will pursue and act upon that decision. So look back over the tests and ask yourself, which of these solutions passed the most tests? The answer to that question is probably your most ethical solution. Congratulations, you have identified your most ethical solution. But that's not the end of the process. In fact, there may be cases in which several potential solutions emerge with equal numbers of check marks. If that's the case, there are several things you can do. First, make sure you've utilized all 6 tests for your analysis to be as thorough as possible. Take the time to implement tests that you may not have used the first time around, and be sure to weigh in with other group members and friends in your analysis. Second, look over your original list of potential solutions. Did you consider all possible solutions? Are there solutions that you chose not to test? Take some time to think through your current and other potential solutions that you may not have considered, and apply all 6 ethical tests. This may require you to identify the positive aspects of your existing potential solutions and combine them. For example, if you have 2 solutions that each address a piece of the dilemma, combining the 2 actions may provide a stronger solution for you to consider. Finally, there may be dilemmas that require you to choose a path forward with several apparently good solutions. Choose the solution or combination of solutions that resonates the most with you. By selecting a path forward, you are completing a key piece of the act step. Once you identify your solution, you have to do something about it. Often, resolving an ethical dilemma calls us to engage in solutions that may be difficult to carry out. Acting ethically requires us to be both brave and to be thoughtful about how to achieve the best outcome. For example, if you catch a best friend being unkind to someone and you decide to address it with them, you'll have to think about how to approach the conversation in a way that will encourage the best possible outcomes. Would you want to address it with them publicly in front of lots of people, or more privately in a situation where you could discuss it more freely? Acting out your decision can be one of the most difficult parts of resolving an ethical dilemma. But with the STAR model, we can be confident that we've done all we can to make the most ethical decision possible in our given situation. Now we've come to the last step of the STAR model: reflect. Now that you've made a decision, you owe it to yourself and others to take responsibility for the outcomes of your decision. Pause now to reconcile what you expected to happen when you made your decision with what the actual outcomes were. Reflect on what you've learned from the process so that you can adapt and modify your decision-making skills to achieve the most positive possible results in the future. It's a critical skill for us to be able to look back on our decisions and consider whether we had the effect we intended and what we may have done differently. All of us can remember a time when a situation didn't turn out as we planned, but it can be harder to figure out why. By looking back and learning from our decisions, we set ourselves up for personal and professional growth. Now, in our last video, we'll put all these steps together and offer you a special opportunity to put your decision-making skills into practice with the Rutland Institute for Ethics. Thanks for watching.